We are good. We're good to
All
start.
right. Great. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 7 of The Mind Game. And today we have someone who is no stranger to performances on the camera, because before I get into his business stuff, he's been on the ramp as a model. He's been a judge on various talent shows. He's what's known as a celebrity CEO. He's been the chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourist Board, and of course, the one of the youngest heads of Chevron. And currently, in addition to a gamut of things he does, he's also the group CEO of the Dreamron Group. So it's my pleasure to absolutely welcome to today's session of The Mind Game with Fitsky, none other than the amazingly, outstandingly multi-talented Mr. Kishu Gomes. Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you very much. Very good evening. That's just damn too much.
Well, I think appropriate people need to be given the appropriate place.
we need to have a separate chat on that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, today what we're going to do is we're going to try and extract how Kishu copes with a lot of different things with the current circumstances. So, quick rundown. The session is called The Mind Game, brought to you by Sri Lanka's premier fitness app, Fitsky, powered by Marmite. Marmite is enriched with vitamins B, which is great for red blood cell generation, good for cardiovascular strength, and overall, good for your system. Of course, if you don't have time to go to the gym, because these days gyms are closed, you can by all means download the Fitsky app, which is available on the App Store and Play Store. You can have yoga, Zumba, cardio classes all at your home. With that, I'm going to ask Kishu his first question for today. I know that you've been going kind of crazy with the lockdown. How has the mental strain been? How have you been coping?
Well, Fahad, to begin with, it was very, very scary. I mean, I've seen some people saying, that was the best opportunity to connect with people, spend people with you love and, things like that. I'm struggling to understand as to how one can, make such comments. And for me, it was, full of uncertainty as to whether that'll be tomorrow and what will happen to 7.4 billion people across the entire world. And more importantly, what's the plight of Sri Lankans? So it was extremely scary and very, very stressful, Fahad. That's my short answer.
So that's quite right, because a lot of human beings, Homo sapien, is very myopic, very short term. We choose to turn a blind eye towards all of these things happening and just rather look at what's in front of us, which is what has probably made us come to this situation today, where we're at the mercy of Corona. What's your take on that perception of how people operate?
Well, obviously, different people based on their biasness, level of education, awareness, all of that, react to these kind of situations very, very differently. But I know for a fact that, being a person who basically, keep the foot on the ground, and I basically associate with all levels of the society, like, some of the other CEOs and people like CEOs. So everyone was, afraid of, what would happen next, and they thought that, they wouldn't, live for long, and therefore, they should, nurture and live by the best of human values and be the best human being you can be for the next, few days or few weeks before you actually, die. So that's the kind of mindset. And while, to me, that was the inner feeling, people obviously came out with, different logic, different arguments, different phrases, different expressed, different emotions, all of that. Now that we very well know that we're being able to control the pandemic, at least in Sri Lanka, where the level of risk is somewhat minimized. People, try to come up with different philosophies. But if you really saw how people behaved inside their homes during lockdown time, and how they dealt with, people who came to, sell vegetables to, little things at your doorstep, how you, first reacted to them. The media didn't have to say keep the distance, obviously, unless you could know about it, but it was real distancing, right? And it's not just 1 meter, but a few meters. Uh, and then you see somebody, you want to, take a wash with the full of soap or you use, and then sanitizers to whatnot. So that was the real mindset. I mean, that was the behavior I saw in 90% of the people. But now people say, that was the best time, and that this all of that true. I mean, once things were kind of settling down, when government took control of the situation, thanks to the people attached to the health sector and Triforces and police and PHI and all of them, then obviously people started to relax a bit, and then got adjusted to that kind of environment and started obviously enjoying your family interactions and things like that. But initially, I think it was a shocker. I mean, that's what I saw in most of the people.
So it's interesting because I want to pick your mind a little bit about this coping mechanism plus growing mechanism, because now we are coming to a stage where we're returning to work, but the dynamics are not the same. So people in their minds, they're assuming, okay, if I go back, it should be the same, but obviously it's not. What sort of a mental approach should people have as they get back? Of course, the physical safety is there, but the mental approach, what should that be as they reapproach their jobs?
Well, people obviously took all the precautions necessary during the initial few days as soon as they got back to office. But with the government, effectively controlling it and saying that the society spend is eliminated and having to deal with 2 clusters only, people started to take it easy, and we see a lot of people taking it easy today. Without mentioning the name, some of the supermarkets, that kept sanitizers and wash basins and liquid soap, all of that, at the entrance, have actually removed, some of that, right? Wow. So that business reaction. I mean, yesterday I went to the supermarket I generally go to, and that was probably the 3rd or 4th time I went after curfew was lifted and things became somewhat normal. It was very, very strict. They made sure that you went to that location, washed your hands, and they checked temperature. Temperature checking is still done, but this particular supermarket, which is a big supermarket chain, people can test as well. The outlet I go to yesterday did not have any of these available.
Wow.
It's not because they have run out of liquid soap and water or anything like that. They've removed that entire unit. So not only individuals, even businesses are taking it easy. Contrary to that, as the CEO of this group of companies that you mentioned, whenever I went in for a meeting, first thing I did, or I've been doing, is making sure that they were taking all the precautions necessary. I physically got people to check if they were, 1 meter away or more than 1 meter away. And there were situations where, people were trying to, share the computer whenever numbers had to be used. And then I literally, scolded them and said, this behavior is something that you have to, stop immediately. And unless you tune your mind to, live in this new normal world, you don't know what time you're going to fall victim. So that's the kind of seriousness people, need to bear in mind when engaging in different activities. So, and then we know that over the last 2 days or so, things are, working in a different direction, and it has actually spread to a couple of other, new areas. So it's not fully dealt with. There can be a second wave, there can be a third wave, and second or third wave can be deadly.
That's very interesting you point that out, because when this lockdown thing was happening, a lot of people like, okay, this is our wake-up call. Now we are going to be more environmentally conscious. Now we are going to be more safe. But what I was telling to people who told me that was, yeah, human beings are very short-term creatures. That's Homo sapiens way, we will say that. But then the next time lockdown ended and they were in traffic, people were putting up pictures saying, oh no, Colombo traffic again. But you were also part of that traffic, right? So
Obviously.
what do you say to people who seem to think something is going to change, but they are definitely not a part of it? They are expecting others to change. What do you say to people like that?
No, you're correct, Fahad. Now, during the lockdown period, when all these traditional practices, old practices, came into action, people thought that, that's the right life and it will continue. What happened to the vegetable vendors who came to your doorstep? What happened to, those, individuals who carry stuff on their shoulders, or, little cart, or, bicycle? What has happened to those guys, after 1 week? And some not so premium branded channels, that were doing a better service than some of the high-end brands. People developed a very short-term loyalty, started to appreciate where is their appreciation now, where is their gratitude now. They are, again going back to those, big brands that actually disappointed them during that critical period. So the reasons why people behave the way they behaved prior to Corona remain the same. They haven't changed. So therefore, it is my belief, and that is exactly what you said and what I have seen and what you have seen, the attitude and behavior will not change.
And that's very interesting.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
That's just a big talk. People say, this is the right thing. And I mean, you have seen millions of Facebook posts saying this is the right thing, and give it to a guy, and that and this, and who knows what happened to all those nice concepts and
where are they now?
Where are they now? Yeah, so the reality is different.
So one of the things that we like to talk about in the mind game is specifically things like that, where we say one thing, but when the environment changes back, we do something else. Now, as a person, you mentioned, of course, lockdown time was extremely strenuous. Personally, did you come up with a routine to help you deal with it, or how did you approach it day to day?
Well, Fahad, being the man I am, with the name I have, I was inundated with requests the moment lockdown came into effect. I was asked to talk to different communities, different organizations, business and social organizations. So I said it during lockdown period as well, whenever I had the opportunity to talk to the media. And I'm saying it even now, that was the busiest period for me, because on a normal, period, not new normal, but old normal, that, you can wake up at this time, you can go through the day, leave the bed at this time. And it's Monday to Friday, and then today is Saturday, and next day is Sunday. You know that. So you plan for. But there was no Monday, there was no Sunday, there was no Thursday or Friday, right? It was another day, and you wake up and
another day, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have a full plate to deal with, and very diverse groups that you talk to. Some of them were mainstream media channels, and most of them were digital based, and you talk to employees of various employers, and then schools to educational institutes to whatnot. So it was very challenging for me, and my vision now is very different, and it's not my success, but success of all Sri Lankans, people who need my assistance and my contribution. That's my priority. So I did it with a lot of compassion and a lot of commitment. But it was the most hectic period for me, Fahad. Those 2 months where lockdown was the name of the game.
So I want to ask you something in terms of, because I know that you associate with people in a cross section of society.
Sure.
And there are some people, let's say, who have a financial buffer, some people who live day to day. But beyond that, there are people like, while the rest of us are saying, okay, things will get better, they really do not see a light at the end of the tunnel. Like they're resorting to things like suicide and stuff like that, right? So maybe there are people like that watching this, maybe there are not, but guaranteed we will all encounter somebody like that. If you are someone like that, or if you meet someone like that, what is your advice to someone in talking to them? Because it's not about telling them "Kavada hari hariyai," because maybe that's not reality. So what is your advice in situations like that?
No, yeah, I mean, it's a good, discussion to have, Fahad, no doubt about it. Well, in an environment of that nature, when the situation is that, no point advising people because you're not in an environment where advices, can be actioned
Yeah.
to achieve something, right? So if you love people, if you want to really, help people, if your vision is to make other people happy, then you have to physically do that, basically giving a hand, making a contribution, giving them some stuff that they consume. That's what you had to do. And then so that is, if these people did not have anything, but if it was a case where okay, they have things but they are scared of the future as to what can happen, and whether they can play the same game they played to achieve same level of success, then of course you can then advise to say that well, these are things that have happened in the past as well. This is another situation. Don't worry about things that you don't control. Trust the system, trust people who are dealing with it, and you focus on what you can do and see what learning you have. Just reflect on the journey you have been on, and ask yourself, for you to be where you are, if you are happy, what good things you have done. If you're not happy, why you should have done things differently, and learn, and come up with a better, more aligned strategy for you to play more aggressively and effectively and successfully in the new normal environment, so that if and when another virus hits you, you'll be better placed to deal with it more positively. So, and then of course, other people who have already collected a lot of wealth, who fear that banks will not be able to repay, finance companies will not be able to maintain the same level of interest, and the asset value has gone down. Just believe in your religious principles, right? Life is not about assets that you have. It's the inner happiness that you can have. So in that tangible things you need, of course, to go with those tangible things for you to be able to enjoy those, you need that intangible, piece of life, well managed. So it's all about human values, understanding the realities and living with the realities. All those stuff.
So that's great for everyone who's listening. That was a unique bit of information, because it's easy to give talks, it's easy to give advice, but you need to understand what's the line of the position of the person you're talking to. Sometimes the talk means nothing. They need physical stuff. They need food to eat. They don't have time to action those things. So we are down to a final 9 minutes of the mind game with Fitski, with none other than Mr. Kishu Gomes. Of course, if you don't already have the Fitski app, the Sri Lanka's premier fitness app, download it by all means on the App Store and the Play Store. Kishu, fitness routines. We'd like to ask you a little bit about that, as I notice
Okay.
you're in your fitness T-shirt also.
I made it a point thinking that you would wear something similar, but
Well,
no, you're more into art. I see a lot of art in the background, and I'm very passionate about it too. But well, I'm obsessed with fitness. I'm fitness
freak.
So Yeah, I have my daily routine. You know, I'm on the second level of my house, and right above me is my gym, and I have
Wow.
few pieces that an individual like me need to have, and so I do that every day, either in the morning or in the evening, depending on my daily schedule. So some people want to know how old I am, and you look at the numerical number. But if the next question is how can you look, like the way you look, then the secret is that nothing else. I still have, I believe, a good physique, and I'm very concerned about the visual element of a human being, because first impression is important, and it's not beauty, it's your level of confidence, the the messages you disseminate with your visual, the energy, the power in you, your stature, your profile inside. All these are visual elements as well. While people might think, some people may think that who you judged by packaging. No, packaging tells you what the product is inside you. And we always talk about lack of productivity being the reason for economic failure of our country. And if you are not healthy, how can you be productive? You need to understand the correlation between the health, the energy, the physics, right, and the productivity. And most of our workforce, I mean, Central Bank would say that we have 7.5 million people in the workforce, but my number is 8.5. I have a reason to add a million, because we have people who are over 60 who are probably more healthier than the people who are 35 or 40. Whose brains work much sharper than the brains of a 30-year-old. And saying that with conviction, and if you want names, I'll give you 10 names just like this. And I work with such people. By the way, I'm not over 60, so not saying because
Didn't think you were.
right. So no, I mean that's a critical fundamental a country needs to have. If you're not healthy, you will not have a healthy mind. If you don't have a healthy mind, your contribution will be questionable, and you cannot be that most efficient person. And when efficiency is at stake, or it's a question, you will never ever be able to beat the others. So if your intention is winning, before education, be physically fit and mentally fit, and then education can help you. But education can't help you if you are not healthy physically and in mind.
Now, on that line, one of the most common, and I believe one of the most common and accessible excuses is that I don't have time. And with all the things you do, you find time within the day to incorporate because you value its importance.
Right.
How important is it? So you mentioned either the morning or the evening. You don't go about the day thinking at some point I need to work out. You have it scheduled. Is that how it works for you?
No. I mean, I don't have a strict, schedule as such. I would be, very determined to take 1 hour each day to engage myself in some physical activity. Right. I mean, where I live, even if I don't do, gym stuff, if I really attend to the housework, I will still have the dose of exercising that I need. This is an attitude issue. People think that they don't have time, but very same people who say that they don't have time, right, get other people to do, various work at home, right? Little things that they can do. They get, a paid laborer to come and do such work. Maybe you're gardening, maybe you're cleaning, maybe, pruning the trees, and maybe, carrying stuff here, there. There are things that you can physically do. And it if you have that fitness mind, even when you do housework, even when you do cooking, you can manage your movements in such a way where those movements will exercise the muscles, right? Bending to squatting to reaching something, lifting weight, all of that. Even while laying on the bed, there are little exercises one can do. Don't complain about having a big tummy unless you have thought about what can be done while watching TV, lying on the bed. While watching TV, there are little things you can do to ensure that you control your tummy, right? So it's a culture that you need to believe in, embrace, and live by. And we have to go a very long way as Sri Lankans, to get that culture into our system and by that culture. So that's where this business that you are engaged in comes into play as well. It's a discipline that you need to inculcate. It's not not about inviting people to come and do 1 hour of exercising, body toning to weightlifting and things like that. It's culture. It's understanding the importance of that aspect of life.
And rightly said, it's an attitude thing, because this is a Sri Lankan thing. Kavinawa type of thing. Nobody's forcing them. They are eating.
Right. That guy. Yeah, so I mean, exactly. The thing is, Fahad, you've got to enjoy your life, for which, when there are things that you love to eat, you eat. But what is important thereafter is for you to know that, you have eaten bad stuff and you've got to burn it, right?
Yeah.
You've got to burn it. Now, in my case, I take breaks. I basically divide the year into 4. And one quarter, I will go kind of, green, veggie, very little exercising, refreshing the body, giving the body all the vitamins that your body needs, all of that. The next 3 months, I would eat all the bad stuff under the sun, oil to fat to the worst meat, the red meat, all of that. Try to gain energy and to retain that energy, and then balance 3 months. And of course, when you start eating like that, you have to spend longer hours. In the gym, you got to, do a longer walk. If you're cycling, cycle 10 kilometers, extra, things like that. So it's about being conscious about what you do and managing the other areas to align with it, which most of our people don't know. So that's where you said they are Kauna and Kauna so what. So they need to address that so what question.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is 5 o'clock. He's a very busy man, so we only managed to get a short time with him. Thank you so very much, sir, for joining us, sharing your insights. Really love the alternative angles, contrary to a lot of popular opinions on the things that people talk about. This has been the Mind Game, powered by Fitski, Sri Lanka's premier fitness app. In the period of lockdown, in the 7 weeks, we had over 4,000 people who book lessons. So you could be one of those people as well. Download the app on the App Store or the Play Store. And of course, get yourself some Marmite. The sessions are powered by Marmite and enriched with vitamin B, good for cardiovascular strength, for red blood cell generation, and of course, great for muscle regeneration as well. And on that note, greatest gratitude, sir, to you. Good luck with everything you're doing. And hopefully, more strength and power to you to inspire more people around the world.
Thank you so much, Fahad. I quite enjoyed, this short interaction, and it's lovely. It's an important, topic, important discussion. So I believe that this will create a new trend in Sri Lanka, for Sri Lanka to be a fitter nation, so that with that fitness, you can achieve the level of productivity that we are aiming for, and that productivity will, finally offer the life 21.5 million people in Sri Lanka deserve.
And with that, we say thank you very much and have a good evening. See you.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.